Hey, today I'm talking about 3 shorter horror films from the 40s, all about people who turn into other things. And the names of those 3 films are Man with Two Lives, The Wolf Man, and Cat People. First up is Man with Two Lives. This is a 1942 film, and the basic premise is there is this scientist and psychologist who are really good friends. And the scientist has been working on reviving dead things. He wants to bring back a human. The psychologist objects to this idea because you're reviving the body, but what about the soul? Doesn't the soul just leave the body as soon as the body passes? And a different soul could just come in and enter the body. They call it the transmigration of the soul. Well, unfortunately, the son of the psychologist dies, and so he's like, save my son! And so he brings the son back. But does the son still have his own soul? Or perhaps it's the soul of the murderer? Okay, so this film's really short. This film's an hour, which works really well. It moves at a really solid pace. And I think even though this is definitely a silly idea, I still like it. It was really interesting. They gave a good amount of time with just like setting up all of the ideas, and then they did a good job of setting up the debate about just everything, arguments about souls. And then when like the resurrection does happen, it wasn't just like this super hard shift. It was more of just like a gradual shift that worked really, really well. And then like people figuring out what's going on also was more of a gradual thing and not just like a snap decision. Just good and exciting. It's not that scary. I mean, it is kind of more in the grander sense of like, this person I love my entire life is suddenly acting completely differently, and it's because we brought them back from the dead. But yeah, no, it just really worked for me. I thought it was really interesting, really fascinating, really fun. Even though they're kind of antiquated ideas, I still think the discussion of them was interesting. So yes, definitely recommend this little film. Next up is The Wolf Man. This is a 1941 film and is the first in, I believe, a 5-movie series. And the basic premise is it's werewolves. And it's pretty dang good. It again moves at a nice pace, which I definitely liked. I also definitely liked they did 2 types of werewolves in this movie. And they didn't explain the difference between the 2, but I liked that they had both versions of one that's more of like an animal one, like on all 4s, that's probably just a wolf, and then one that's like a man with hair on his face. What I personally like too about this one is that the main character is not a great person. He's a bit of a creeper. Like, he meets the main love interest by literally spying on her with a telescope. And then he's just like trying to be all smooth and stuff, but he's just saying really terrible things. And then bad stuff happens to him, and I'm like, I'm okay with this. I mean, you're not the worst person, but like, you don't got a good vibe, man. I think the actor did a good job, especially of like the breakdown of as he's becoming a wolf man. I gotta praise the special effects because they were honestly really cool, especially for a 40s film. I didn't pick up this while watching the film, but on IMDb trivia, it was pointed out that the metaphor for this film about the Nazis in particular is how these men were just regular everyday people, but then because of an event, now they're going around just brutally killing people, in a sense out of their control. And I thought that was interesting. In retrospect, I can kind of see that, especially because like there's a lot of stuff with the pentagram, which could just be the substitute for the swastika, and there's a few other little things. So that seems to have been their intention. So I just wish that would have been a little bit more obvious. So yeah, it's pretty dang good. I would totally recommend it. It's definitely not super scary, but it's got some fun little moments. So yeah, good little film. I'd recommend it. And lastly is Cat People. This is a 1942 film, and the basic premise is there's this woman from Serbia who now lives in the United States, and she doesn't want to have anything to do with men because if she gets aroused in some way, even from a simple kiss, she believes that she will turn into a big cat, a panther, and kill particularly the person that aroused her, or really just anyone. And it's all from like legends of her hometown stuff. There were a lot of really interesting ideas in this movie, and a lot of really interesting images too. But I was just kind of bored with it, especially just like, it felt like it took a long time to get to the more crazier stuff. Like there is a really cool scene in a pool that I liked a lot, but that was close to the end of the film. I do like the last big action set piece. I think that worked really well. Part of what I didn't believe / buy with this movie is her relationship with her love interest, because like it seems to move pretty fast. Like they do make a good point of like pointing out time passing, but it just seems a little silly like how fast they're moving, especially with the fact that she doesn't want to even kiss him. Like they get married and she still doesn't kiss him. This could be in the film and I just didn't see it. If there were like hints of her like in a sense hypnotizing him or something like that, like mind tricking him somehow into a relationship, then I would be more okay with them like doing literally nothing physical and getting married. But I don't know, it seemed like too much of a stretch even for the 1940s. It was interesting, but just, I don't know, it didn't super keep my interest the entire time. I think if it was just like a bit shorter, it probably would have worked a little bit better for me. But yeah, would I recommend it? It's interesting, but not really. Alrighty, now for today's rankings, first up we got Man with Two Lives sitting at number 74 in the really like section. And then after that is The Wolfman sitting at number 116 in the quite like section. And then bringing up the rear is Cat People sitting at number 184 in the meh category. And this is a total of 216 old movies so far this year.